Hello everyone. I'm so sorry for the lack of uploads this year. It's been a really busy one. I'm still working on Mario Polo, so don't worry about that. Anyways, I've been getting a few questions from time to time related to how I make my animations, and so I decided to make this video for the people who want advice or tips in making LEGO Modern War animations. I'll be dividing this video into multiple parts that explain different aspects of how I film. So the timeline for each part will be in the description and the pinned comment of my video. Let's begin. So for the first and most important tip I can give in this part is to really research on the background of the battle you want to animate. Using videos, images, and combat footage you can find on YouTube really does help in identifying things such as the environment, the vehicles used, and what kind of gear both sides used, and how each side fought in the battle. This is really important as it can allow your film to feel more authentic and accurate to how the battle was fought, and it can make your animation become better. My second tip is to know your limits. When planning your animation, it is important to know what you can and can't do, as knowing your limits when it comes to filming allows you to save yourself from demotivation when your film doesn't end up the way you want it to. Finally, my third tip is to basically work with what you have. As an example, you don't really need to build big buildings. I'd recommend just building what the camera sees and toying around with the angles so it can seem like you have a much bigger set. My first piece of advice I can give for this part is to always angle your camera properly. Just like what I mentioned earlier, using different camera angles allows for you to make it seem like your set is bigger than it actually is. Playing with miniature models for the background also helps in adding depth to your film as it reduces blank space in the background when it comes to filming. Angling your set also allows you to hide certain things such as the end of a base plate and where the set ends. Another tip I can give is how you'll pace the video. Pacing is really important when it comes to these kinds of videos as fast pace can often disorientate the viewers while a slow pace can often make your viewers bored. So it's important to keep a pacing that isn't too slow nor too fast. Planning out your scenes beforehand, like what I mentioned in the pre-filming stage, allows you to avoid bad pacing. Now, my third tip is to mimic realistic movements. Related to the first tip in the pre-filming stage, referencing movements from combat footage really helps a ton in making your animation seem alive. Keeping the figures constantly moving in a way also keeps the animation lively and keeps it realistic. If you want to go the extra step, you can also mimic how you want to animate the figure by doing the action yourself. It's a bit odd, but it really does help me sometimes in making realistic movements. Finally, we have ways on how to film combat scenes. When it comes to scenes that aren't filled with action such as a character walking or chatting, camera shake isn't really necessary and can usually be used when an artillery shell hits nearby. However, for more intense parts such as a very action-packed firefight, it'd be nice to add some camera shake when it comes to explosions and gunfire, but it is also important to make sure that the camera shake isn't too intense, so it doesn't disorientate your viewers. Slight camera shake is already good enough for the scene. This is where your film comes to life. So let's start off with the first tip, which is to pick sound effects that you think will fit your film. Now, each animator has a different style, so as a result, different kinds of sound effects may not fit their style. And as an example, some of my friends use sound effects from games or movies, while I use sound effects from games and real-life combat footage, because it's what suits my animations more. Most of my voice lines actually come from videos from channels such as the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, regular translated combat footage, games, and voice actors that I've managed to obtain. Related to this is the next tip that I have, and that is to always have background sound effects. Having distant battle ambience really provides a sense of realism to your film as it shows the scale and intensity of a battle. Not only that, but it also adds life to your film, as it can signify that multiple battles are going around in nearby areas and not just the area that you are showing in the film. Finally, related again to the first point in this part, is to find voice lines that are suitable for your animation. Having soldiers communicate during battle adds realism and life to your characters, and also allows for a storyline to be made. Although my only warning for this is to try not to use much swearing or offensive words because that might get your channel wiped. Congrats! You managed to finish all 3 parts, or you just skipped to this part, but I guess that's okay. In this segment, I'll be giving general advice that I just want to give. One important piece of advice that I want to give is to remain neutral in your film. Having a bias towards a side may gain some negative traction to your video as it may stir up some controversy in the comment section. Another thing I want to mention is to also watch different animation tip videos on the internet. Those videos really helped me when it came to improving how I film my animations. Getting inspiration from different animators is also a good thing. It allows you to find your animation style and also really helps in building your story making and plot making skills. Someone that I like to reference when it comes to this is a good fellow animator named Lego Max. There are things that are inspired by me in his videos, but his videos also have their own thing and their own unique storylines with a bit of inspiration from me. Although it should be noted that it is important to have to ask permission to take inspiration from the animator you're referencing, as it may cause some problems if you just copy. Finally, it's important to have fun in what you're doing. Loving what you do is important for your motivation when it comes to animating and also influences the quality of your film. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm sorry if I didn't answer some questions you guys had, but if you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Again, thank you so much for watching, stay safe and stay informed.